Shock and horror remain in the French Quarter as New Orleans reels from the nightmarish New Year's Eve attack there, even as tens of thousands of defiant fans attend the Sugar Bowl in the same city. ABC's Trevor Ault is outside the Superdome. Trevor.
Well, Byron, the mood here in New Orleans has been very somber, of course, for many people, but the city is still pressing forward, reopening Bourbon Street today. They also hosted the Sugar Bowl here at the Superdome with a ton, as you can see, of heightened security presence, including armored police vehicles and officers standing outside them with long guns. And while authorities now say this suspect acted on his own, there is still very much an active investigation ongoing into how a former member of the military became radicalized and snapped, plowing down so many people, killing many of them here in New Orleans.
1, 2, 1, 2.
While music has returned to the French Quarter, signs the Big Easy is still uneasy and more on edge tonight. Armored tanks, officers in combat gear, New Orleans on high alert after the unimaginable terror that took place here just the day before. 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar, a U.S.-born decorated Army veteran, driving a rented truck onto Bourbon Street, killing 14 people and injuring 35 others before being fatally shot down by police on the scene. Tonight, a clearer picture emerging as authorities try to piece together what led Jabbar to allegedly commit this heinous act and the possible security failures that may have contributed to the carnage.
Let me be very clear about this point. This was an act of terrorism. It was premeditated and an evil act.
Survivor Jeremy Sensky, who was hit by the truck while in his wheelchair, talking to my colleague Whit Johnson from a hospital bed.
I really did not know what the hell was going on. I just didn't know. I didn't know that I had been hit by anything. I thought it was an explosion. I mean, I'm alive. Everything is good. I just feel bad for the people that didn't make it, man.
Authorities are now trying to determine how Jabbar was radicalized.
Good evening. I'm Shamsuddin Jabbar, property manager.
The Texas native seen here in recent years promoting his real estate business. The FBI seizing 3 phones and 2 laptops.
While we have interviewed many people who know Jabbar, we still need to talk to others. Whether you know Jabbar personally, worked with him, served in the military, or saw him in New Orleans or Texas, we need to talk to you.
After initially suggesting Jabbar possibly had help, officials now believe he acted alone. And new details are emerging about the days and moments leading up to the carnage. Investigators say Jabbar rented that Ford F-150 truck used in the attack in Houston, Texas on December 30th.
He then drove from Houston to New Orleans on the evening of the 31st, and he posted several videos to an online platform proclaiming his support for ISIS.
Jabbar allegedly posting 5 videos which haven't been released to Facebook, with authorities saying the last video was time-stamped minutes before he plowed into the crowd. This new video showing multiple people barely getting out of the way as Jabbar's speeding pickup barrels down Bourbon Street.
He stated he had joined ISIS before this summer. He also provided a will and testament.
We have dozens of people that got hit by this car.
The video you're about to see is disturbing, showing the truck rushing down the street, hitting at least one person. Authorities say the driver was also firing an assault-style rifle out of the truck, racing about 3 blocks before crashing, stepping out and opening fire again, wounding 2 police officers. Authorities then returning fire. The suspect dead at the scene, this image showing his body lying next to that truck. Just hours later in Las Vegas, a separate, unrelated incident also being investigated as a terror attack. A Tesla Cybertruck exploding in front of the 64-story Trump International Hotel near the famed Vegas Strip.
I will say that we do know that the components primarily consist of fireworks, mortars, aerial shells, and are all consumer fireworks.
The suspect, Matthew Livelsberger, an active-duty Green Beret on leave, died by a self-inflicted gunshot wound before the truck burst into flames. The FBI saying they do not believe these incidents are linked.
There are strange, really eerie and odd similarities between these 2 events. Both drivers have military backgrounds. Both had been assigned to Fort Bragg. Both appeared to have served in Afghanistan during the same time period. Authorities were trying to figure out if they did have any overlap at Fort Bragg. So then it's the same day. That's obviously a critical sign.
Literally no barricades were up on any of the streets all night long.
As both cities deal with the fallout, questions are now emerging in New Orleans about the security measures in place for the New Year's holiday.
These barriers that block cars from getting access to a location like Bourbon Street, they were not there. Authorities have explained they were planning to have them replaced in time for Mardi Gras and for the Super Bowl, but they were not there in time for New Year's Eve.
Those barriers are a common security measure used in major cities like New York.
They're very effective. They will stop a 15,000 pound car going 50 miles an hour.
Robert Boyce is the former chief of detectives in New York City.
I think the saddest part of the New Orleans case is that you think you put forth a solid security plan and it's defeated by someone who's determined to do it. And it's tough to come up with a scheme to stop that. And so you learn from failure and you go forth in a more positive direction.
Earlier today, New Orleans putting up new barriers and reopening Bourbon Street, the police chief defending their original security plan.
This is not a matter of pointing blame anywhere. A terrorist is hell-bent on destruction.
In the days following the carnage on Bourbon Street, we're learning more about the killer, Shamsuddin Jabbar.
No one had anything bad to say about him.
Jabbar's 24-year-old half-brother, Abdur Jabbar, who did not wish to show his face, shared these family photos, telling ABC News his brother was an ordinary guy who didn't drink or do drugs and was a practicing Muslim.
Maybe he was dealing with some mental health issues that I didn't know about. I can't imagine what would drive anybody to do anything like this.
Jabbar's past revealed major struggles. Court records show he's been divorced 3 times, the most recent divorce in 2022. Financial troubles also plagued him. According to court documents, he could not afford to keep up with payments on a home and was at risk of foreclosure. And despite making a $125,000 salary at Deloitte, he'd been ordered to pay thousands in child support to 2 of his ex-wives. So far, 8 of the 14 victims' names have been released. Their lives honored at the Sugar Bowl with a moment of silence. Among those newly identified, 27-year-old Tiger Beck, a former football star player for Princeton University who worked in finance. 26-year-old Drew Dauphin. His family says he'll always be in the sun at the lake that he loves so much. 25-year-old Matthew Tendorio, a Superdome video technician.
His beautiful face, his laugh, I love you, Mom. You know, he was just a wonderful son.
Louisiana native Hubert Gothrow and Kareem Badawi, a University of Alabama freshman, remembered as someone everyone could count on. With major events like the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras happening in the coming weeks, officials say their investigation is ongoing.
We care about each one of the lives that were lost in the city of that. But it would be a tragedy if we let their losses be snuffed out because of fear. This city will be back.
Our thanks to Trevor. We'll, of course, continue to follow this story as it develops right here on ABC.